Hello everyone, welcome to Magic and Musing. My name is Candace. If you have been hanging around with me a bit, if you've subscribed to the space, then welcome back. And if you're brand new, then welcome here. Let's begin by opening up the space. There's an interesting energy. It's a little bit excitable. So yeah, not quite sure what to make of it yet, but let's just open up the space by tuning in a little bit. The time of this reading is the 11th of November, so 11/11. This could speak to the energy, not sure. We'll see what comes up. Not sure if this is a timeless or if this is relevant to the date. But nevertheless, there is definitely a need to always just slow down for a minute. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to invite you to do the same. Obviously, you do not have to. But this is a chance for us to just bring awareness back to presence, essentially, back to the now. We're not hanging out in the past, thinking about what could have been, or regretting things, or, whatever that process is when we reflect on the past. And we're not future projecting, we're not playing out any fears about the future. We're just here right now in this moment. And just bringing awareness to our body, or the body, I should say, to the breath. Adjust when necessary, getting comfortable and just allowing yourself to be. Letting the belly hang loose, slouching the shoulders, whatever's feeling comfortable. Just witnessing where there is tension. So I'm just, for myself, noticing the tendency to be leaning forward, and so I'm just sitting back into the back body. And of course, there's no right or wrong way to be right now. It's just whatever. It's just whatever's feeling comfortable, whatever is feeling true for you. Without any distraction or anyone overlaying any type of context of how you should be practicing presence. So even when I'm with me having my eyes closed, this is something for me at the moment right now, just to tune out the extra sensory perceptions. And just to be in this moment. Just being mindful of the breath. Just witnessing, not necessarily fixing anything. And of course, down regulation. So coming into a still position, breathing like in this type of way. That doesn't work for everybody, especially depending on what is current for them. So some people might need upregulation, like moving the body and that sort of thing, to be fully present, or practicing some kind of craft or creativity. Essentially, all it is about is the present moment. It's not necessarily about what's being done in the present moment, it's just the awareness of. There's just a need to hang out here for a while. Whatever this energy is some type of like electricity. Just bringing your awareness back to the screen if you have your eyes closed, or if you've got a downward or inward gaze. Just taking your time to just be here, you know, in whatever capacity. Okay, that was rather interesting. Okay, so whatever's going to be said in this session, chapter, musing, whatever you want to call it, episode, I don't know yet, because I'll be quite raw and authentic with you. This is a process that is just being explored, and yeah, there's no script, there's no sort of plan. It's just executed in present experience. So I'm learning as well as unlearning, and I'm quite open with that. I'm by no means a tarot expert or astrology expert or any type of expert for that matter. I'm just here to speak to the experience that is current. And if that somehow helps someone, then cool jazz. Okay, so I'm just gonna have a bit of water. It's just a bit of energy in the body, so just being aware of that. All right, what do we want to do? I do feel to bring out the animal oracle. It's called the Animal Kin Oracle by Sarah Wilder, who is an Australian artist. I'm currently living in Australia, so yeah, being privileged enough to come across this beautiful deck. So what is the go, yo? What is wanting to be reflected on, contemplated on? This is not a space where you're going to get any type of predictions necessarily. So if that's what you're after, this is not the space for you, and that's okay. There are a multitude of people who do that, and yeah, that's just not the vibe here. This is more about uncovering more about yourself and all the parts of yourself, not just the parts that you want to hear about, if that makes sense. So not the parts that, you know, make us feel good and that's happiness and unicorns and rainbows. The parts of you that are difficult to be with, to sit with, to process in some ways. So if anything does trigger any kind of response or reaction in you, then the invitation is there to really be with that, to really ask yourself why that is. So yeah, let us see what is going on. So if we tap into 1111 portal, let's see what's going on in that respect. Oh, hello. So we've got Bluebird, pleasure. I'm all for that. Oh, yes. get one more. And of course, that's not always sexual in nature, but you know. We've also got inspiration and protection. And then at the bottom of the deck, we've got the cardinal, passion. So very, very interesting. So bluebird, pleasure, peacock, inspiration. So these are beautifully created. This is a beautifully created deck. Bear, protection. And of course, bottom of the deck energy is the cardinal, passion. What I'm getting, or the thoughts that are kind of ruminating about this is specifically creative output and what that looks like. This has kind of been a theme of last week. And this is, yeah, very, very interesting that it's showing up in this way. But yeah, this feels, if I'm going to speak to if I'm going to presence the process of last week, it's more like really tuning into creativity and what that looks like for each individual person, right? Because what's going to work for one person is not going to work for the other, and that's completely okay. So currently, so story time, this I think is going to be a space where, you know, just like my podcast, this is going to be about stories and using tarot and using somatics to really explain certain thought processes. But last week was going through how would you call it, like questioning authenticity, not myself per se, just questioning the like what authenticity feels like, looks like, kind of, yes, no, I don't know. There's a part of me that doesn't actually want to speak to this in this read or this musing, whatever you want to call it. That might be a topic to discuss in the podcast. So do keep an eye out for the description, because when I do share that process of last week, I will put it in the description notes below. Authenticity. Yeah, because otherwise when I start talking about these things, I can kind of go a bit, like I can speak for ages about it, and I want to really, while I've got your attention, bring some insights or through the cards and divination, whatever, so that it's about you. This is not about my experience. This is about, yes, perception from my perspective, but you know, you're obviously here for a reason, and I honor your time and your energy. So essentially what the gist of it is really finding those parts or expressing creativity the way you want to, not the person, the way it wants to be expressed through you. So there is a variety of different ways what that looks like, right? So there's an essence here of being true to that, of really following the things that really, I guess, you know, using that overused phrase, and I used to use it all the time, like what lights you up, what inspires you. We've got the inspiration card here. So really playing around with this idea of leaning into spaces or processes or projects, whatever it is, that align with that passion, that align with that inspiration. I mean, I feel like the pleasure part of it is, yes, you know, literal feeling lit up by it, feeling inspired and this is really strange because it's like the words don't want to come out. This has been happening over the last several reads now, which is really fascinating to me. Really fascinating. I'm not going to go into it. Like, I'm not going to label what is going on. I'm just going to speak to it. So there is as well this energy of this need to protect whatever this is. And that can look like, let's say, for example, putting down boundaries with your process. So, for example, switching your phone off or putting it on, what is that? I've literally got mine on mode right now. It's silent or do not disturb or something like that. When you're in your zone of genius, when you're in your moment of creation, whatever that looks like, right? So even if it's, well, okay, so I'm getting this, like I want to speak to something like cooking, right? Being aware of what that process looks for you, and not just from okay, I'm gonna get my ingredients together and I'm gonna create this thing. It's like, what's the whole process look like? Like, what's the what are the tasks that are happening before? What are the tasks that are happening during? What are the tasks that are happening after? But also, what are the thoughts around it? Like, are we truly being present in that moment? Or are we like listening to a podcast at the same time? And I'm not saying that this is wrong. I'm just trying to highlight the how does this want to be said? This seems so mediocre, but there is definitely a deepness to it, because when we're creating, no matter what it is, if you're drawing or painting or creating choreography or cooking, doing up plans for, just list the various ways that we express ourselves, picking out an outfit, designing clothing. There is a process that happens when we're in that space. It's in order to create from a higher perspective or a higher frequency, we need to be entirely present for that. So that looks like witnessing your thoughts that are coming up. Does that resonate for you? Questioning it, like, is that aligned with, this is very, very interesting here, trying to express this, because this is something that, I've spoken about in length on other spaces. So the fact that there's nothing like being able to be articulated in this moment is very, very curious to me. And oh my God, it's literally like I've put my black tourmaline crystal on top of the bear, the protection. I feel like there is a need to really be aware of where you are leaking that energy, as in, and I'm not saying it's not a good idea to get feedback from people and say, hey, what do you think of this palette? Like, say if you're changing your website and you're changing your branding, whatever, what do you think of this palette? Like, what do you think of this font? There's nothing wrong with getting feedback from other people, but at the same time, there needs to be an awareness of that whole process. Like, are we relying too much on other people's feedback, validation for something? Or are we just being in that space of allowing creativity, ideas, inspiration, you know, to just flow through naturally? So, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Anything else before we do some more cards? It's almost like there needs to be a fierceness and ferocity with your art. And when I say art, just use that how that fits, right? Because your art doesn't necessarily have to be a creative process. It could be some type of goal or intention that you're setting for yourself. So for example, if you're looking at, you know, decluttering your space or something, there's a lot of ideas, for example, seeing as we're going with the decluttering process on, so for example, how you should be how you should be putting your things spatially. Like, do you want to go down the minimalism route? Do you want to go through the the maximalism route? Like, it's a process that is entirely your experience, right? So it's not about necessarily getting insight from anyone external to you, because for a long time I thought minimalism, I'm just using my personal experience in this instant here, was just getting rid of pretty much everything, right? And it's like, how do you do that with kids? Like, how do you become a minimalist when you have children who have fucking toys everywhere, right? So yeah, it's about really tapping into your own experience and what is true for you at that moment in time, because we could go through this process of, for example, like just taking, you know, getting rid of everything, but then it's like, where is this going, man? Why are we talking about minimalism? Can't even fucking say the word. I guess what wants to be said is just be a fiercely protecting your, I'm hearing discernment on what things look like for you, whether that is creativity, whether that is life in general, whether that is relationships, right? It's about I'm hearing protecting your ideas, but I'm not quite sure that's the trajectory of this conversation. So what I might do is I will read from the book. I'm just getting this fierce protective vibe, and I'm hearing Kali as well. Like, this bear looks pretty fucking cranky, hey? Like it's going to rip your throat out. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Let's see. Okay. So the essence of this card says, stand up for what you love and protect the things that you work hard for. It goes on to saying, bears possess an excellent sense of smell, and despite their large and awkward gait, they are competent at running, swimming, and climbing, with their physical power enabling them to stand up on two back legs, a symbol of leadership and inner strength. They also have the perfect balance of incredibly nurturing of those they love and being fiercely protective, right? I just said that. When that love is threatened. Bears teach us the importance of standing up for what we love and always protecting our own worth, the things we work hard for, and the things and people that are most precious to us. So Yeah, I feel like this is about protecting your process, protecting your, for some ideas, like being aware of who you're actually doing this back and forth, these back and forth types of conversations with, like where you're getting, who you're bouncing ideas off of. There's this need to be a little bit protective with that. So being wary, being mindful of who you're sharing with, but also where you're leaking that energy with. So for example, if you are building a brand, like, or what does that look like for you? What does your energy expenditure look like for you? Are you spending a lot of time on all these different fucking platforms? Are you just focusing on 3 and that's it? That's where all your energy goes. So this is something, yeah, this is obviously a very general read, so it's not going to make sense for everybody. But the essence of it is just being mindful of where you're leaking energy, specifically in a creative sense, especially specifically in a sense where I'm hearing where you're like unable to hold space for your own process, as in the things that are meaningful to you, the things that create some sort of, I'm hearing nostalgic charge, which is really, really interesting, because prior to going through all of this, there was this like childlike energy, you know, like this, what was that actually about? Oh, it was about the inspiration. So, you know, you could possibly be leaning into things that have either you've done when you were a kid, like a hobby that you've picked up that you're now thinking of doing again. You know, say for example, you've decided, oh, I really loved roller skating when I was a kid, I'm going to do that again. So it doesn't necessarily have to be the examples I've said. Obviously put this where it meets you, but exploring things that may come up during this time where what the fuck, what is this energy about? I'm hearing the word patience, like not forcing this process, just allowing it to unfold naturally. There could be something that you're doing that is in like the infancy stage, like in the, just thinking of that childlike energy that came through before, or the, you know, the thought process around it. Yeah, so something could be in an infancy stage that you're querying, that you're kind of having an interesting process navigating, where it's like there's this excitement about it. Oh, I said the energy was electrifying before. There's this excitement about doing this, whatever this is, or exploring this thing, that may have once upon a time been a very exciting exploration or adventure for you or endeavor, and then, you know, it just fell by the wayside. Or this is something completely brand new, something that you're not necessarily familiar with, that you're now going, okay, this is exciting, but can it work? How can it work? Blah, 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 blah. So if this is sounding like your story, and I can't believe, like, we're 30 minutes in and I haven't even pulled the fucking tarot yet, but you know what? This is just the space, right? We're just gonna go roll with it. If that is you, if you're trying something brand new, or you're revisiting old things that you were doing, then there is a need to be somewhat protective of this. in the sense of just being very mindful of who you're speaking to. And I'm obviously not saying everyone's out to get you. This is just being mindful of having a sense of discernment with who you share these ideas with, who you share your journey with, right? Because I do feel for the most part, oh, here we go again down the social media path, but I do feel for the most part, we share so much of ourselves now. We share so much of ourselves online that it's a way of us actually leaking energy, like telling people what we're doing and, you know, getting all types of projections about it, all types of hesitation, and, you know, anxiety. Some people may have anxiety around it. I don't know why that's come up, but it's like, say for example, it's something completely different to what you were doing before, and there's, you know, family are projecting or friends are projecting this anxiety of like, oh, but, you know, is that going to make you money? Like, how are you going to sustain that? There's that type of thing. So it's just being very mindful, being very discerning of your process, whatever that is, right? Okay. Whew. Mother effer. Okay, let's see what's going on. Interesting. And I'm just seeing the Empress card and the Death card in the reverse. So Empress is creative energy. And you might be resisting something right now, or yeah, we'll see. Yeah, or there might be some, oh, for God's sake, there might be some hesitation seeing the Two of Swords, or some type of indecisiveness around whatever this project is, whatever this could also be a relationship, right? Doesn't have to be, just, I'm getting the creative part big though, but again, there's no type of predictive thing here, so it's like whatever you can pull from this, you pull from it. So let's get some cards. Let's go 6 cards. Current energy. What is the... Just move some of these cards. Right, so in current energy, we have the 7 of Pentacles, we've got the Tower, and also the 3 of Wands in the shadow. There is this energy of working on this, putting some time into it. So it's not going to be the case for everyone. Like I said, this could be new energy or new ideas. Or just even thinking about contemplating putting effort into this, putting time into this. Perhaps perhaps there was something that you were working on, actually, now that I'm looking at it in a different way. There was something that you were working on that you put a lot of effort into, that you spent a lot of time on, that you kind of may not have seen any rewards from it or any kind of, how does that want to be said? Just the process was a little underwhelming with the Tower card and the Seven of Pentacles. As in, it didn't provide you what it was that you were necessarily seeking or trying to work towards, I should say. I will get clarity on that as well. Perhaps there was some kind of doubt with what this is, some type of fears. With the Three of Wands here in the reverse. Or you might have just been cock-blocking yourself to some degree because of these fears, you know. Interesting, because the Seven of Pentacles obviously is the number 7. And then the Tower card is number 16. So 1 and 6 is 7. Sevens might be significant for you. And I'll write that down. 7. 7. You may be seeing sevens. Or... oh my goodness, excuse me. Or you may have been releasing... you may have been releasing some ideas of what that means to put a lot of effort into something. Does that make sense? Or something's happened that basically shook that idea, like really tested what... I'm getting the word hustle culture. So, you know, perhaps you thought to be successful or to be relevant. Well, I've got Queen of Wands here. To be relevant or, yeah, to be successful in any kind of way, that had to look a certain way. And the Tower's here to change that, or something may have either happened currently, or this is a process that you're going through right now where you're really questioning where it is that you are expending this energy, where it is that you are putting in all this time and effort. Okay, these are going to need to be shuffled. This is not... And again, with the tugging of the hair, whenever that happens, it's like people tugging on your energy. You know, if this was like a work environment where, or even elsewhere, if you are doing social media, with the Queen of Wands, I'm getting strong social media vibes, and which is interesting because this is a actual process that I'm currently navigating. She has come through in the reverse, which is fine because we're reading it as obstacles. So, you know, for some you might actually be questioning, is social media the space to be expressing my creativity, or is there another way? Or, you know, maybe whatever happened, maybe, okay, I'm getting this strange, well, not strange message, I'm getting this interesting message. This is so bizarre. I'm just going to speak to it, but this might be for, you know, a few people, that you've built a platform for yourself that was either your creative outlet, or, you know, it was part of your business strategy to create an income. It is something that you've put a lot of work into. This is not going to be for everybody, but this needs to be said. And, you know, with the Tower here, perhaps you got deplatformed for sharing your truth or expressing yourself, or something happened, something shook you to then start questioning, well, is this the right place for me? Is this where I should be expressing myself. You could have literally been deplatformed with the tower, or had your account suspended. It's happened to me. And anyway, whatever. I talk about that on my podcast, but yeah. Let's get a card or two for 7 Pentacles, current energy. And we get 7 of Pentacles again. Yeah, so it may have been something that you have really been trying to nurture. Doesn't have to be social media, but it could be even whether this is a relationship or a connection or friendship, or, you know, some just something that you've been working towards, putting money towards, really, really trying to nurture that. Yeah, now you may be in fears about, or questioning, or doubting, gaslighting yourself, cock blocking yourself. But there's also a need to say to, because the 7 of Pentacles is showing up here twice, to not necessarily give up the idea or whatever this process, whatever this is for you. Rather be in a state of reflection. Oh, I did say that number 7 before, and 7s speak in the tarot anyway. Speak of reflecting and being in a state of reflection. So that might be current energy where you really just asking, okay, what now? Like, what is this process going to look like? And that sort of thing. I'm not getting that you're heavy in the head, like you're overthinking this or spending too much time worrying about it. There's just this, I'm hearing deep state of contemplation for some, of where to now progress forward with the 3 of Wands here, even though it's showing up showing up in the reverse. There is something to be said about not being able to effectively communicate. So whether you're questioning yourself about that, like, is my message right in this space, or am I saying the right thing, or that kind of thing. Perhaps, again, with the social media, perhaps you've lost a ton of followers and now you're like questioning your... I'm hearing resolve. Yeah, there's this energy of perseverance and just keep going, and at the same time just reflecting. And I'm also hearing like slowing down with the 3 of Wands too, because usually this is a forward movement, looking ahead, expansion type card. So it's showing up in the reverse, could speak to some kind of delay. And there's something to be said about delays, right? There's something to be said about things not working in our favor. Is it all again with this not being able to verbalize? So what this is telling me personally is to slow down, right? So when we slow down, we can process, we can reflect, and I'm getting like seeing things from a completely different perspective, like seeing things without the distractions. as I was saying before about it being delays or things when things don't necessarily work in our quote-unquote favor, there is and this could be why the tower is here as well, is just taking this opportunity. And we do have the Hierophant here as well, like being with all of this, being with where is that gone? It is an opportunity for us to slow down, to question if this is even, to be in a state of questioning things, but not necessarily making decisions from that space, just being in a deep state of reflection with 2 7 of Pentacles here. And we did say that before, deep state of reflection. I'm going to write that down. And that doesn't also mean overthinking, right? Because I'm not getting that vibe. There are no swords here. So yeah, it's not at the forefront of your mind. It's just allowing the process to unfold and unravel in a very organic, natural way. And with the Queen of Wands here, we've also got the 10 of Wands. In the obstacles, this is just being mindful of these, putting too much pressure on yourself. Also being mindful of any projections from others or any type of criticism with the Queen of Wands here about your process. And not allowing any, how does this want to be said? Any perceptions of it being, say for example, you're wanting to keep going or you're wanting to continue working on this. There's something to be said about seeing it from a different space, not putting too much pressure on yourself, taking your time, building your confidence through just the perseverance and consistency, the process of perseverance and consistency. Because for some, I'm getting this thought process of like perhaps you're not seeing, perhaps if you're working on this and you're not seeing things manifest or unfold in the way that you anticipated, we can then get into our mind about, okay, well, I'm not supposed to be doing this, or we tend to lose like motivation and inspiration, that type of process. We start planting ideas in our head about where to go and what to do and who to follow and what this person's saying and what this quote-unquote experts saying of how to navigate this. It's about being discerning and in your own energy, protecting your own process on this and what that looks like. What works for one is not going to work for the other, right? We know this. And Queen of Wands energy is also about taking a rest and following your passions and not being afraid to do that, So I don't feel like I need to get anything else on that. That's quite clear. What is interesting though is the guidance, right? So we have in the guidance or the support or how to navigate moving forward, we've got the Moon here, and we've also got the Hierophant. So Interesting. What are we talking about here? So the Hierophant can speak about higher learning, education, possibly like spiritual or emotional awakening, like the realization of how things work. How does that want to be said? As in like paradigms, like what is the current structure of things? So, and tradition as well, right? Tradition, passing down of information. So there is a need to be aware of what your thinking is around this, that may have been learned from, through programming, through the media, whatever that process is, or however you've gained information, or whatever it is that you consume. There is a need to it's bringing me back again to that energy, or just protecting that process, whatever that looks like for you. Where's that card? With inspiration and the protection card here, it's just protecting, because I can so speak of personal experience with this, but not everyone is going to be in your camp. Not everyone is going to be thrilled that you're trying something completely different, or not everyone is going to agree with your methods and your ideas and your creativity. So there's just need to be aware of external output, whatever that looks like. Yeah. Because with the moon here, there might be some unseen things at play. There might be some unseen energies at play. I will get some more on that in a moment. There might be things that you're not quite seeing, or belief systems, or types of like paradigms, or even traditions that you would just do, that will pass down to you, ways of being, ways of operating, ways of creating, ways of making money, whatever that is. But it being handed down to you. Did I say that? Being handed down to you, and not necessarily being your own process. This is a very childlike energy. So, perhaps something was kind of instilled in you from a very young age. We did say that. We keep talking about this childlike energy. But having and I'm just getting with this image, this very small, how does that want to be said? Almost like a very limited, like a limitation, to what could possibly be. There's this limited viewpoint. Yeah. Let's get another card on the moon and the Hierophant. Interesting. So we've got the death and rebirth. And we've also had the King of Cups come out. So yeah, death and rebirth, like breaking free from certain types of belief systems that have perhaps had you in a particular process, you know, with these creating these or having these ideas on well, if I don't do this in a certain way, or if I don't do this how everybody else is doing this, I'm gonna fail, like that kind of vibe. But the death and rebirth card is indicating a cycle of transformation, a cycle of something changing, particularly in regards to either traditions or belief systems, or, you know, things that have been instilled into you. And I'm getting again from a young age. For most of us, that's when we adopt our belief systems, right? Based on our families, based on our environment. So yeah, you could be going through some kind of symbolic death, or like an ego death of like the way that things used to be, or really starting to question that anyway, being in a process of questioning these belief systems. And then King of Cups, you know, is someone who is very emotionally in tune, emotionally, what's that word? No, not that one. Emotionally intelligent, right? So being able to discern between, well, truth, bullshit, and truth, essentially, right? Very in tune with him or herself. So it does, obviously, because it's King of Cups doesn't mean it's just masculine. It's irrespective of gender. And, you know, this is someone who is nurturing. It's a very nurturing energy. And I feel like this is speaking to the fact that life supports you, consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it. When you're leaning into present moment, as we always speak about in this space, you are opening yourself up to things that could be beyond your wildest imagination. Like, you know, whatever this process, just there's a need to say, trust the process. But also very creative energy. So, you know, in this picture, he's sitting by the water. This might indicate to you something that you can do to sort of process all of this heaviness, is being around water, going to water, having some kind of like quote unquote ritual with water, just going to the beach and sitting and you know, contemplating some shit that might actually be really helpful during this time. So yeah, being really nurturing of your own energy, you know? Being really nurturing of your own energy. All right, what else can we lay out for this collective watching this today? I feel like, okay, I feel like this is a very important message, because we are now heading into a time where a lot of things are being questioned, specifically self-expression and authenticity and integrity. And I feel like things are changing for the better. So what's being questioned is a lot to do also with, yes, of course, politics and all that, but in conjunction with this read, this is about what is life going to look like moving forward in terms of our creative endeavors, our self-expression, our passion pursuits, you know. It's really going to question what that looks like, because as all of these things come to an end, like these certain things that have been done are no longer going to be sufficient moving forward. And so this is going to change a lot of things in our structures. Let's speak to the whole P. Diddy thing, for example. The crumbling of Hollywood right now is going to redefine what music, what movies, books even are going to look like moving forward. There's going to be a need for authenticity. There's going to be a need for integrity, and a need to explore creativity and passion and inspiration in a completely different way. Creativity and self-expression as we know it is going to change. So I feel like this is very, very, especially with the handing down, you know, a lot of these things that are crumbling is because these are ideas that have been handed down. There's not a lot. There are people, obviously, that express themselves from spaciousness, from presence, from higher self and higher frequency, whatever you want to call it. But as we've seen in the media, or as we've seen happen in the current way things are going, that is going to shift dramatically. So there is going to be a need to really protect your process from outside intervention, outside projection and influence, outside consumption. Oh, what's going on here with this deck? And just realigning with joy. Like, just looking at this Queen of Wands card, and she's just, you know, doing life on her own terms and expressing herself on her own terms. It's like, stop buying into what you're being told. Stop buying into this idea of what your self-expression needs to look like in order to be relevant, in order to be, you know, look, I get it. I get the need to have validation. I get the need to want the likes and the comments, but it's like, let's go deeper. Let's bring connection back, you know? And authenticity and integrity. And that's, I feel, is how this is naturally, things are going to unfold. So I don't know about you, but I'm excited to see what our human race can create without these people telling us what to do, how to do it, how to express ourselves, you know. Yeah, rebirth. You're getting that twice. So there's this rebirth. And synchronicities coming up here. So pay attention to what is happening. Pay attention to, let's say, quote unquote, the signs. Pay attention in general to what is happening around you, things that you're seeing. Yeah, be very, very, very present. That's all I have to say about that. Those two, the rebirth and the protection, the rebirth, and we've got pride, landed on the protection. Pride is always an interesting one for me. I feel like this is speaking to letting go of this need for validation. But, you know, it's very easy to say let it go of the need for validation, but I feel like, how does this want to be said? This was spoken to before about, you know, just pulling back your energy and allowing things to naturally unfold for you and not seeking validation from others that you're doing the right thing. There's no such thing as the wrong thing or the right thing. You're going to learn either way. You're going to grow either way. We have this thing in our minds that making a mistake is bad. Like, what bullshit is that? Like, we're human. We're going to make mistakes. The lesson is, how do we move forward from that? Like, what can we learn about ourselves from that? There's a lot of change happening here. We've got the literal change card, as well as the fucking Tower, as well as the death and rebirth card. And I said at the start, I saw the death on the split, you know, and now we've got karmic completion. So that can speak to things, like people, when they think of karmic completion, they speak to karmic contracts, but that doesn't necessarily have to do with relationships. It could mean this contract that you have, where it is part of your journey, part of your process to unravel from certain belief systems, unravel from how does this want to be said? It's like, whatever you are going through or went through, this was part of your, let's say, karmic contract to learn, to unravel, to remember who it is that you really are. And this is coming to a head here, and it's starting to kind of complete itself. The cycle, whatever cycle this has been for you, is starting to come to an end here, literally. You know, we've got all of these cards. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards here to speak to this. And at the bottom of the deck, we've got personal growth. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very interesting what happens next. But you're never in the wrong place. You're always in the right place at the right time. Always. This is part of this process. And for you, whatever this is coming to a completion here. I will get some healing cards and then we will leave it there. There is strong Scorpio energy in this read. It is Scorpio season at the time of this read as well. We've got the fire signs, Leo, Sagittarius, Aries. Okay, what message do we need for... Also be mindful, just getting this as well. There's a lot of bird type, there's 3 bird cards here out of a deck of, how many is in this deck? 65 cards, you've got 3 bird cards here. So that might be synchronous for you, seeing a lot of birds or seeing interesting bird type behavior. Birds can act as messengers as well. Okay, let's get 2 cards. This deck tends to spit out a whole bunch. So just 2, please. Yeah, be very careful about that energy pull Hearing energy vampires, people that are taking your energy. And you'd know this when you're in their company, and once you leave their presence, you feel drained. That is something to be aware of. We've got dissolving judgment. I don't have to like the actions of others in order to love my journey. But I feel like this is judgment of yourself, self-judgment of your process. Soothing impatience. Did I say that at the start? This is energy of impatience. There's nothing to do but wait. So yeah, we've been programmed to be like, go, 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 go. As soon as you got an idea, go for it. I'm not saying that shouldn't be done either. But yeah, patience has been a bit of a thing over the last several weeks in the read. So I'm not surprised that card has come up. But yeah, really just slowing down. There was that energy of wanting to just slow down, take a step back and reflect on what's going on. So yeah, I will leave it there. The time is literally 1:11, which is fucking cool. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. If this resonated with you for whatever reason, please do feel free to subscribe and comment below. I would love to hear from you. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.